Hey class, today we're going to move along and we're going to solve equations involving absolute values. But before we do equations, we're gonna evaluate expressions with absolute values today. So an absolute value expression is expressions with an absolute value define an upper and lower range in which a value must lie. Expressions involving absolute value can be evaluated using the given value for the variable. So evaluate absolute value of t minus 5, closed absolute value minus 7 if t equals 3. So what they're saying is you're going to plug in 3 for t, and you're going to just evaluate it. So it would be 3 minus 5, which is negative 2, but it's in an absolute value. And anything in an absolute value is going to be positive. So I want to show you why. So imagine for me if we have a number line. And so we have negative 2, negative 1, we'll go 0, 1, 2. All right. What an absolute value does is it gives us a distance away from 0. So distance away from 0. So if I draw a dotted line at negative 2 and I draw a line at positive 2, what I would do is from the distance from 0, so if I put a line through 0 so that you guys can see that, the distance is always positive. So the distance between 0 and negative 2 is 2 units. 2 units. And the distance between 0 and positive 2 is also 2 units. So essentially what I'm saying is when you take the absolute value, you're actually measuring the distance away from 0 is what you're doing. So absolute value of t minus 5, it's the distance away from 0. So that's why every time we take the absolute value, it always returns a positive value. Whatever's inside the absolute value returns positive. So I'm going to do a couple of these with you. And then I'm going to let you guys do your own today, but I'll do a couple of these with you. So they want us to evaluate each expression. R equals negative 2, N is negative 3, and T is 3. So what you're going to do is you're just going to plug in for the variables here. So number 1, absolute value of 8 minus t plus 3. So t is 3. So I'm going to go absolute value of 8 minus t is 3. So I'm going to plug in 3. Close absolute value plus 3. So then I evaluate what's inside the absolute value first because absolute value counts as a grouping symbol. So in our order of operations, PEMDAS, please, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Absolute values count as parentheses. So that's a grouping. So we're going to do what's inside the parentheses first. So we have 8 minus 3, so that is positive 5. Absolute value plus 3. Absolute value of positive 5 is 5. So I have 5 plus 3, which equals 8. And that's my answer there. Let's do number 4. R plus N in the absolute value minus 7. So absolute value R is negative 2 plus negative 3. So I can put plus negative 3. Or you could have just put minus 3, realizing that, oh, it just means minus 3. And then close absolute value minus 7. So negative 2 plus negative 3 is the same thing as negative 2 minus 3. So negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5 in the absolute value minus 7. Absolute value of negative 5, remember it's distance. So I'm just going to take what's inside and make it a positive. So that's positive 5 minus 7, which equals 2. And that's my answer. Let's see. Let's do number 6. So I got negative. Notice that negative is outside the absolute value. So we'll see what that does. R is negative 2. Plus N is negative 3. Plus T, which is 3. Well, negative 3 plus 3, they actually cancel out. So I'm left with negative absolute value of negative 2. Right? So, but that absolute value of negative 2 becomes positive 2. So I bring out the positive 2. But that negative on the outside means that whatever my answer is, I'm making it negative. The absolute value can only change what's inside the absolute value, not what's outside the absolute value. So my answer is negative 2. So these are similar. Let's do number 9 together. Absolute value of 3x, so 3 times x, go up here, look at what x is. X is 4 minus 2 times w, and w is 4.5. Close absolute value, minus q, and q is negative, so minus negative 1.5. Well, as we remember, when we have a minus a negative, we negate the negative and it becomes plus. So I'm going to change that to a plus. So now I'm going to evaluate. 3 times 4 is 12. Minus 2 times 4.5 is 9. So 12 minus 9. And then plus 1.5. So then I go back to the inside. 12 minus 9 is 3. And remember, I keep bringing my absolute value until I get it by itself, and then I'll take care of it. So absolute value of 3, again, it's just positive 3. So I get 3 plus 1.5. 1.5, which equals 4.5. So that looks good. I am going to do so for number 12, you would evaluate the inside, evaluate the absolute value, and then you would multiply by 2 at the end. Don't distribute the 2 in. You would multiply by 2 at the end. Let's do number 8 real quick. 10 minus absolute value of 2 times n. N is 2. Plus v, which is negative 8. So I got 10 minus absolute value. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus negative 8 becomes minus 8 in the absolute value. So I got 10 minus absolute value of 4 minus 8 is negative 4. So I got 10 minus the absolute value of negative 4 is just 4. So 10 minus 4 is 6. So that's it, guys. You guys can have the rest of the assignment. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more problems for you guys to do. And then that's it for today's lesson. Any questions, reach out. Make sure you comment on the Google Classroom that you watched the video. Have a good day.